The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're building or buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holsthausen,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party.
Listen, Tony, Rick thought Tony was showing up.
I know.
And then
I know.
I saw Tony in New York.
I said, uh-oh.
And so I texted Rick last night and I said, who's coming on our show tomorrow?
I said, well, I guess not Tony then, huh? It's like the time Tony was supposed to be at a event in Chicago, and they texted him and says, you all set? You know, you're going on.
Oh, he was in Charlestown.
He was in Charlestown on
Yep.
his couch,
Yep.
and he said, I don't think I'm going to make it.
I might be a little late.
So he did say with his break-in, evidently he's lost all his appearances for the. Do you buy that, Ed?
No.
He
No.
didn't know anyway.
He doesn't know
Right.
anyway.
Yeah, they're all written down,
Yeah.
and he goes day to day to day.
Yeah.
That's
If
why
you
we don't
ever-
know if he's
you ever
showing
ask
up or
Tony
not.
what he's doing, he says, I'm wide open. He's told that to 7 people, though, for the same event.
No,
or same different
goes,
events.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, he does now because he knows we're on to him. I got to say hello to Scott Carter, our latest viewer.
Hi,
Yeah.
Scott.
Scott Carter is a
He's going to think
faithful
this
listener.
is nonsense. We used to have a title examiner. I'd call up and I'd say, hey, how are you? He's like, you tell me.
Who is he?
Mike Walsh.
Oh, Mike Walsh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've had a few of them. So we decided, we originally thought Tony was going to be here. And
we would just do silly stuff.
silly
that
stories
Tony likes
because he's
to
been
do.
away for 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
So we figured he had 2 or 3 weeks of stories. So we thought he'd have a story for the whole show.
Except now we
Now we-
have our own silly stories.
So Ed Sullivan got to hear Kathy's stories beforehand.
I did.
And a lot of those had to wait a little bit here.
listen, you guys. It's an unbelievable refinance market. So
They should call us.
you should definitely call us. We have some great loan officers that
Absolutely.
will hook you up with rates that are incredible. And if you get them on a good day, you get a great rate, and you'll get good service from us.
What's our phone number again? In case they do want to call.
What
You have to
is
do
that?
you
Don't
have to do
call
the
me.
jingle.
Don't call me. It's
781-944-9222.
2-2.
Keep your day job.
Do we have a day job?
Well, yeah, after today.
after the show.
The rates
we're not gonna
are-
have. Yeah, we're not gonna have a. We're
The
not gonna have
rates
another
are
day
at
job.
a really, really, really good time. Everyone says, "Oh, the rates are so low." Even 6 months ago they were so low, but they're that much lower.
We do have some pointers. We weren't going to talk about it, but refinancing.
Well, we're like professionals.
We're
this
professionals
is what we
there.
do. So.
All right. So if you are refinancing here, you got to get the stuff into the people. If the lender says you got to have this, and this in,
And it's so easy now with the desktop underwriting and whatnot. They're basically looking for your page, like 2 weeks pay stubs, maybe tax returns, maybe not,
you
because
got
they
to
pull
prove
their
within
own.
2 weeks
less
just by
than-
showing your pay stubs.
Yeah.
The money you make at
No,
Cardinal office.
they didn't even look at mine. They said, hand over the big stuff.
Show us Stu's.
Big
Show
Stewie
us
had to
Stu's.
step in and use his salary.
All right.
Because I'm still at minimum wage back from 1978.
Well, you're on probation, but I'm seeing a good future for you. So
I feel really good
all right.
about that.
So if you're refinance, what tips do we have?
So,
Since you didn't read any of the other notes, and I don't have any notes on there about refinancing, we might as well wing it.
So, you need to know when you're going to make your mortgage payment, right? If you're going to be refinancing on the 10th day of September,
Okay.
my recommendation would be to have that mortgage payment made on September 1st,
That's crazy talk.
I know it's crazy talk, but if you mail it in on the 8th of September and you're closing on the 10th, we're going to have a payoff that does not reflect that mortgage payment. And if your payment's $2,000, the money that you need to bring to closing is going to be $2,000 higher, and now you have a check out there for $2,000.
Well, if you're refinancing on the 10th, don't the lender get it on the 10th?
No, the
Why
lender does
not?
not, because there's federal guidelines,
Yeah.
and one of them is a right to rescind. So every person that's refinancing has a 3-day right to cancel the transaction. On the 4th business day, the money is given to us from the lender, and then we make your mortgage payment.
So then I can get into like 16, 17 days thing.
Well, and that's my other point, is if you don't want to make your mortgage payment, you might get hit with a late charge. So,
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
If Tony V was here, would Ed Sullivan be eating his Popeyes lunch right during it, or would he be actively engaged in the conversation?
I'd be ashamed. You know, Tony's a healthy eater nowadays.
Oh, so you knew Tony wasn't going to be here, so you got the Popeyes takeout. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Typically, when Tony's here, we're not really talking about anything serious, so he's just sitting back doing whatever he's doing anyway. But now he's like seriously like eating chicken with one hand and typing with the other hand because we have so much to say today.
We got a lot to say today. So on refinances, so if a seller is selling on September 7th, haven't made their September 1st payment, what does their payoff look like?
Their payoff is going to be on September 1st, you pay for the month behind. So on September 1st, you pay for the whole month of August. So if you're selling a house on the 9th of September, selling your house, your payoff statement is going to be all of August, so 31 days in August, and 10 or 11 days in September.
I get that all the time.
So it's almost 45 days of interest. People are like, that's not right. That's not my mortgage.
That they saw online.
Your principal balance is different. Every day that you own that house, you are paying a per diem, which is a daily interest amount. And if it's $45 a day times 45 days, that's how much money is going to be added to your principal balance.
This is how good you and I are on calculating mortgage payoffs. I can calculate Ed Sullivan's mortgage payoff right now.
I can too.
How much?
0 times 0.
0.00.
Oh my gosh.
See?
That's great news. I have a red door.
That's right.
I know, we've talked about this. I have a red door, but it doesn't mean anything in my case.
I'm not going to have a red door till 2049.
Till you're dead.
Yeah.
And they take your life insurance. Ooh. Anyway.
Well, I'm glad we have an upbeat show today.
So the other thing about when you refinance is if the lender's asking you for something and they've already asked you for it, I've already sent this, and then you just kind of go on your merry way. I wouldn't make that assumption. When they're asking for it again, that means somehow it's gotten lost in the pipeline, and they need that to clear your loan to close.
And we get that same problem because they ask us for our malpractice insurance rate. I got a bank today who's asked me for the third time.
I know, same.
Yeah.
Same.
So all you do is save the emails and just forward again.
Or you just, right.
And don't forget to put in that glib comment. I've already sent this to you.
Here it is again.
But I can resend it to you.
It hasn't changed
since last time, but here you go again. Do you think those glib comments help?
Listen, you know what? We try not to be glib around
No, we don't. We don't.
We try to stay upbeat because the people that are calling our office or emailing us are they're nervous. Some people are spending a ton of money for a new house.
It's a big thing. It is funny to see the differences between when they first buy and how nervous they are. And then they come around again, and the second closing, it's like, where do I sign?
It's like with children, right? The first one, you pay a lot of attention, and then it's
second,
it'll work
third,
out.
Except for you, Scott Carter. We definitely pay attention to you. And then
you demand it, Scotty, right?
And then we have Ryan Carter, who is our social media expert.
Really?
Who tells us to subscribe, to like us, go on to Real Estate House Party, go on YouTube, and subscribe.
Right.
I said, Ryan, should we tell him how to do it? He's so annoyed by that statement. He goes, they're going to know how to do it.
You're the only one who doesn't know how, Rick.
You'd be surprised. And the other thing about buyers and borrowers, when you say, well, I don't understand why I need to bring $45,000 to the closing, I say, well, let me email this over to you. Oh, I don't have access to email.
Right.
Like, I think it's really, really difficult to buy or refinance when you don't use the computer.
So you have some requirements as a borrower if you're representing a borrower. One is which they need a computer. They need to know how to do emails. They need to be accessible for their closing.
Yeah.
If you're buying a house on September 12th, you might want to think about being around on September 12th.
Oh. That's a novel idea.
Well, Rick, can I have you go for me for a small fee?
That's an excellent suggestion. So
we would need to know that, Ed, several days prior to...
I have to meet with you and sign a power of attorney.
Well, of course.
And all
so
that.
we've had people say, well, you know what, something's come up, I can't make the closing. There's a lot that would go into that. We'd have to draft the power of attorney to have, let your wife or your husband sign for you. It would have to go through your lender. It would have
get
to
approval.
be approved by them.
But it is possible.
It's possible, but typically the day before the closing is not the time to say that you can't make the closing.
No, I've done it, but well in advance.
Well in advance. Well, you're organized.
Because the people who were buying my house sickened me in every way, and I never wanted to see them again.
Well, Ed Sullivan, let's ask that. Let's go off course for a second. I know we don't have
This
Tony.
is his favorite thing to do is off course. So
But
Ed, don't
us,
feed into him.
No, feed into a little bit. Why did they sicken you so much? And this is Ed Sullivan. He's the man behind the curtain, as you see in The Wizard of Oz. Right? Shh. Go ahead.
Rick, I was selling in the last downturn, and there wasn't a lot of interest in the million-plus market, right?
Yep.
So there weren't many people coming through.
Yeah.
These ones finally did, but then they just kept postponing and moving things out, and they got on my nerves.
They kept extending.
They got on your nerves.
And if you knew Ed Sullivan, it would take a lot to get on his nerves. So they kept extending the contract. We have a couple going on now that has been going on probably about 4 or 5 months. And I was asking extensions for every couple days. That got old. So now I expanded it to every 2 weeks. I have to go back to the office today and ask for a 30-day extension on one of those. That is,
See, it makes you a mean and hateful person, right? Because my only option is to say, okay, you're not buying the house. But if I don't have anyone else to buy
you're going to throw it back on the market and then 45 more days or at least 45 more days out.
Right.
We had one seller's attorney that wrote to us this morning and said, my sellers are getting very sick of this closing.
Of these extensions and of this lender.
and of this buyer.
And of this buyer. We felt like writing back, we are too. But we would not do that because that's not our office protocol.
No, so we have a great office protocol, and I hope that people that are listening would agree with us that know us well. Is we try to treat everyone coming through our office like they are
it's their only closing.
It's our only closing,
which is on our last page. Myself and my young cherubs, Renee Carter, Scott Carter, and Ryan Carter, went to the Wakefield Fair the other day. We go to a restaurant, and my kids move around a little bit, so we didn't have them all in the place at the same time. And the waitress came over, and we said, all right, we'd like to order now. She goes, I am very busy right now. I can't do it right now. I've just never heard a waitress say that.
Right.
So
the thing is, like, I never sit at my desk with nothing on my desk. Typically, if you walk into my office, there's one open, there's another one open, and they're all over the floor.
You do multitask pretty good.
Yeah, well, sometimes I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack.
And in between that, you're barking out orders to me.
And I actually think I need to be drugged when I walk in there, but you have to treat every single person coming through our office.
She thinks she needs to be, like she would never go down that road before.
Hey.
How do you spell Xanax?
Listen, I'm trying to tell everyone how good we are.
All right, go ahead. All right.
So, but you have to give the client the time that they're looking for.
You are good on emails.
And some people are smarter than others.
Do you use exclamation points?
All the time. I try to talk. I type like I talk.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Do you use your exclamation points, Ed? I was told. Do. Oh, you do.
But I do it in an excited way.
No. Hey, you just got approved. I was told that is people like to see that.
Well, I don't type like you say okay and have a good day, period.
Right.
I would say okay and have a good day, exclamation point, so you can hear my the way I'm
your
talking.
Excitement.
Yes.
Okay.
I think usually I just sign it with my name.
Yeah.
You don't put an exclamation point.
I don't even capitalize the E.
You don't?
No.
You're not a capital Ed?
I'm sort of like E.E. Cummings, the poet.
Oh, okay.
All
right. So it's symbolic.
But if somebody wrote to me and then I wrote back yay, Y-A-Y, and no exclamation point, would it seem sarcastic to you?
Yes.
You'd be like, yay. But if I say yay, then they know that I'm excited and we're happy.
Are you going all lowercase on the yay without
the
the
capital Y?
Well, it's okay as long as the exclamation point is in there. You can get away with the lowercase.
I bet you could.
You know what? Hit all. Reply to all. We got to lose that a little bit. We got to lose it.
I like it in some regards, but I get stuck in some of those that have nothing to do with me, and I don't give a crap about what's in that. Like I say, Rick, take me out of that loop because it just
And that's usually the pitch he says it in. Should we talk about the time you hit reply to all and you didn't mean to hit reply to all and you were...
No, I didn't really hit reply to all.
Should we talk about that at all?
There was this really mean attorney that was really giving our office a hard time, and we probably told this story before, but it's still. And the guy's wife was his real estate paralegal, and the broker wrote to me and said, "This guy is driving me crazy. I would like someone to kick him in his ass or something like in his big fat ass." And I wrote, that would be so funny. And then like I was writing to this woman and I picked out an email because I couldn't find her email address and I just replied to her. And if you scroll way down, it's down there. And I had no idea. And then she sent me a blank email back, and I go, "There's nothing in this email." And she goes, "Scroll down." And I scrolled down, and I said, "Oh my God!" But he's since been in jail for for molestation of some sort.
Do you feel vindicated in some way?
Well, yeah, because he was a jerk. I knew he was just a real jerk. So
right,
and that's what you get if you're a jerk.
Did you predict the molestation? No, that was I
didn't know he was going to
And Rick, forgive me, I'm still bitter.
Yeah.
The other thing was that, I was buying another house at the same time.
So it was screwing you up.
Yeah, and there was no contingency.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, Ed. Let's talk about that. If we have tips to a seller or buyer, the contingencies might creep up. You really got to know what you're doing, right?
Well, and I did know what I was. I mean,
no, you did know.
I could afford to pay cash for the other. I didn't want to hold two houses,
right.
But I just gave him a check and bought the other house.
Wow, you do pretty good down here at the Two Guys Cigar Shop. Wow,
they treat us down here.
This is his like fun.
I know that.
Okay.
I know. Imagine that. And this is as fun to listen to us.
The one advantage, although I would never admit it to those horrible people, is that then I could have work done at the new house before I moved. Finish all the hardwood floors and that sort of thing.
So, but you thought it through. So we do have people that jump into these contingencies. We've had a tough one right now.
Desperate.
This one, so he had
not desperate, but
he took on a buyer
that
was contingent on his selling his house. And that fell through, and then it was a house of cards right after that.
And it was all your fault, right?
Oh, it's always my fault.
Yeah.
So
because you don't vet out vet out their buyers.
All right, don't give too many clues. The person does watch the show, but so you really have to.
He used to watch the
show. He's got his lighter out right now, and he's burning. So so we do have to be really careful of those contingencies. That one's probably the biggest one. It's subject to you selling a house. And if that doesn't fall through, what is your plan in mind? Because this guy didn't have plan B in mind because he was buying another house.
Well, you have to have plan B.
Right.
You have to make sure. So I would call up my lender and say, I'm going to sign this purchase and sale agreement because they will not take my sale contingency, right?
Right.
They will not wait for me to sell my house. I say to my lender, can I afford to buy this house mortgage-wise and carry two mortgages? So that's your second plan,
and
right?
The third plan is to get me Ed Sullivan's phone number because it sounds like
I was going to borrow some money from Ed.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Give you some cash front.
Well, that's the thing is you have to have is there money that could you borrow money from somebody else to make temporarily to get the house done or maybe you're going to get a bridge loan.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and here's another contingency: a use and occupancy. I've seen this on both ends where the seller wants to remain in the property. And then the other, which actually isn't that bad if you have a nice agreement.
I've done that a couple of times, but with a very
got to
strict
remember
agreement.
the as is, like the wear and tear of the house while they stay there. Make sure that they keep their fire insurance on the house.
Exactly. You got to make sure. Listen, you've done your walkthrough. As soon as you take over this use and occupancy, you can't come back and say, "All right, we have an issue now."
Right. You've lost your rights.
Right. Now the tricky one is when the buyer wants to move in early. This is the one I don't like as much because we had a situation where the buyer moved in early. They actually didn't even move in, but said, "Can I do work on the property?"
Or they wanted to put the stuff in storage, right?
Stuff in storage.
Or, in the garage.
Which is
Now they're
okay.
on the premises.
This guy wanted to do work on it, so he took all the outlets off, started painting, and then he found out there was major league health concerns with the electrical. So how do you deal with that at that point?
Or they get denied.
What
if they get denied, guys? Like, even if they have a commitment letter, doesn't mean the closing's still going to go.
Let's talk about that.
All right. Well, they have a commitment letter.
So if you have a clear to close, does that mean, this is what I tell people. They always say, when can I be assured?
The day of the closing or at the table.
When that money's recorded and the seller gets their money and you've gone to close and sign everything, that's when you can feel good. Because you can get denied 2 days before a closing, right?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I just saw it last week.
We just saw it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, like a re-verification or
something, or the credit, you went and bought a car when you probably weren't supposed to.
You bought all the furniture for your new house?
Yeah. And your credit score ticked down. It went under
620 was this one. And the banks, a lot of banks, well, I shouldn't say a lot. This particular bank didn't do it if the credit score went below 620. It went to 580, so now you're denied.
It just ticked down a little bit.
We've seen one where they took out, you know how you get the little free things from Lowe's, the credit cards, took it out and took out literally a $40 charge.
Right. They probably didn't think about it.
Didn't even think about it.
They sold them on, it's a good deal. You get 20%
exactly.
today.
Well, we've had credit people on saying that if you pull a $5,000 credit line or a credit card and you even only have $40, they're using that $5,000 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is
what if someone's leaving their job to go back to school?
Exactly. That's what I was going to.
So they're basing it on two incomes, and now here it is fall time, and they didn't close on time.
Back to school.
Yeah, exactly. So they could get to because. Correct me if I'm wrong. At closing, you a lot of times sign forms saying my finances and my credit is pretty much the same as when we first applied.
And a lot of lenders, they'll hold up a closing package the day before the closing until they call the employer and verify that they're still at that job.
Right.
So it's called a verification of employment. So if you think you get your commitment letter and you get cleared to close. If you're not at your job that you told them you're at.
So when I refinance, it's going to be trouble. When they call you.
They call me.
They say, does he still work here? He hasn't worked here in years.
I don't even know, Rick Carter.
You probably see that a surprising amount where people all of a sudden decide they're going to get a new job right in the middle of a closing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a good loan officer would tell them to hold off.
Yeah.
Or
you can, if it's a similar job, you make it similar, but you do have to back it up. You can't do it 2 days before closing.
40-hour salary job to a sales job where you're going to work on commission. Like you have to be in the same line of work. There's a whole bunch of we're not loan originators or officers.
The Jordan's furniture one was good. She was so excited. She was going from the 5-room house to the 10-room house and bought $25,000 worth of furniture and no longer qualified for that 10-room house.
She had nowhere to put it.
No.
Just in storage.
She could put it right back.
Right.
Hopefully Barry and Elliot took it back after that because she no longer qualified for her new loan. We've had somewhere.
Well, and we've talked about this one before about the divorce. If you're expecting alimony to be part of your income to afford the house, your alimony checks or your child support checks need to be consistently $500 or whatever it is. They can't pay you $300 one month and $800 the next month because then they base it off the last 2 months.
And that came into play because, and this is our over our 100th show now, right, Ed? So we're kind of recapping a lot of our previous 100. Actually, I think all the information we gave today has been all the information we've done in the other 99. So I think we're doing pretty good here. But the reason we brought that one up is because in that situation, say the person's, and we say it every time, but I got to say it one more time. The financing date is due June 15th. And this particular individual said, June 15th, and that's the day you have to tell your seller if you didn't get your financing by.
Or you lose your deposit monies.
Right. You lose your deposit money if it's June 16th and get turned out. So this girl thought she knew what she was doing and said, June 15th, I got my commitment letter. Unfortunately, one of the conditions in the commitment letter says, we'd like to see your bank statements. She says, no problem. I'll give you 6 months banks. That's all how it was phrased in the commitment letter. She says, no problem. I can give 6 months commitment bank statements. But in those bank statements, they were looking to see if she was getting child support from her husband that she said she was getting pretty consistently all along.
She was getting it consistently, but it was like he'd skip a month and give her $1,000 as opposed to 500, 500, 500. They denied her.
So her deposit was at risk. Thankfully, she had a nice seller's attorney on the other end. So
and a good buyer's attorney that negotiated.
Right, we all negotiated that, so that all worked out good. So we have 1 million, and I know a lot of these are
we still have some time.
No, I know.
Let's talk about owner's title insurance.
Oh, that's always a very popular subject for our podcast.
We have a couple people that come through the exact same lender every time, and they say we don't want owner's title insurance. I don't know who would tell you.
So what is owner's title insurance?
Owner's title insurance is an insurance on your title to your property. Oh, I'm buying new construction.
Is it required?
It's absolutely not required. 99% of the people that come in through our office get it. It's a one-time premium for the lifetime that you own the house. You buy it the one time and you never think about it again until you think about it again when someone asks you if you have an owner's title policy, right?
Ed Sullivan, look this up in your spare time.
Okay.
Abe Lincoln, I think, lost his house once or twice. Due to title problems. Look that up. You might have never heard of that. I try to throw out little tidbits that you have not heard of. But
I've never heard of that.
Abe Lincoln, I think, supposedly has lost his house because of title problems. So owner's title insurance is a one-time charge. They would protect you if the Indians came out and said...
Well, let's talk about something that
happens all the time.
Not happens all the time, but something that a common buyer would be able to identify with. We do a 50-year title search at the Registry of Deeds, and we rely on the public records, and then we are able to certify title to it. But if there was a misindexed document, like a misindexed
like in the old
mortgage,
days, happened a lot
because it was all by hand. Now it's computerized. It's not as commonplace, but we're still doing a 50-year title search. So going back 50 years, there's a lot of mistakes.
So if we miss something...
If there's a mortgage on the property that was never discharged and the lender comes back and says, hey, the money's owed, if you have owner's title insurance,
let me ask you this.
They're going to fix the problem.
I'm buying new construction. Why would I need that?
You wouldn't. No. That's
that wasn't quite the answer I was
No, that's what the people think. Well, I'm buying new construction. The house doesn't have any history.
But it's going on land.
It's on the land that's been there forever.
Out of a subdivision that might not have been done correctly.
So,
So for owners, for new construction, you would suggest it. Is this what I'm hearing? This is what I'm reading between the lines?
How much is it going to cost me, roughly?
Well, it's hard. It's based on your purchase price, but it also is piggybacked off your loan amount. So if you're borrowing $300,000 and you're buying it for $400,000, it's probably like $1,500 extra or $1,000 extra. But if you were to buy it 5 years down the road, say, I want owner's title insurance, it would cost you a lot more money because you're not piggybacking on that $300,000 loan policy. So really, if someone tells you don't need owner's title insurance...
And we see issues all the time. So we're minimizing now, but it happens all the time.
No, but the thing is when someone tells you you don't need owner's title insurance, what they're trying to do is they're trying to sell you a deal and
they're trying to minimize the look of the cost.
Yes. When it's an option, and some people say, I don't want owner's title insurance, then we start talking about it. I'm not a salesman for title insurance, owner's title insurance, and neither is Rick. We're agents, right?
They just need to understand what they're...
And then you say, okay, so you don't want it. Here's what you're going to get if you do get it. Whatever. If you don't want it, and you're that stuck on it. But then after a while, they start listening to what you have to say, and they say,
Maybe I should have got it.
You know what? Maybe I will get it. I'll get back to you. And they typically call back 10 minutes later and say that they want
All right, so let's extrapolate from there. Two things. You should get owner's title insurance.
Yep.
Secondly, I think if you're a professional, like a real estate broker, I don't think you should advise a client not to get it.
Well, right, that's what I was getting at.
Okay.
They're trying to sell the product. They're trying to sell this situation.
Because that broker down the line might be relisting this house, And then the buyer says, "Oh, I have a title problem with this. I can't sell."
Right.
But you told me not to get owner's title insurance. That might not have been the best thing in the world.
It's like the buyer that bought the house, and someone told her not to get a home inspection.
Yes.
And then she had her uncle come in, and she moved in, and the day after, the whole heating system blew up. And
we got a call and said, "Well, what do we do?" I said, "Well, what did the home inspector say?" "Well, I didn't have a home inspection. I had my uncle come
They told me I
over.
didn't need one.
My lender told me I didn't need one.
Yeah.
Because you can't reduce the price anyway." I go, "Well, didn't you want to know if there's going to be any issues down the road?" Well, he said I don't really need it. So we think, correct me if I'm wrong, people should kind of advise in their own world. We had another situation where a broker was giving tax advice to a seller who...
It closed on December 30th, right?
Yep.
They told us not to record it until January 2nd. And we're like, wait a minute. We're going to record right after, they give us the deed. We record, give out the money.
Right.
My broker told me if you hold off until the next year recording, I wouldn't have to pay a capital gains on the property.
So whether that's true or not,
it's not true.
Okay, but my point is, thank you. But my point is, I'm not sure if the broker should be advising that one way or the other. I think she even got a little crazier. She says, "All right, well, if you record it today, this is also what they said. If they record today on December 30th." But they don't pick up their check and deposit it till January 2nd.
Yes.
Does it mean it goes into the next year? No, because my broker told me that. So, all right, maybe I know we only have a couple minutes left. Let's just give a quick.
Don't put your pen down.
I know. All right. We usually have brokers on here, and we can't. A lot of times this is all right. One thing, you can't rely on what a seller tells you. Okay, we won't go into it. But if a seller tells you I'm zoned for business B, you can't rely on. You got to look into that.
Yeah.
So we always tell people, we didn't make up this expression, but don't be the source to the information. Be the source to the source. Okay. So if someone wants to know about being in a school district, don't say, "Oh, you're in such and such school district." What if they change the school district?
Yeah, you better find out. Call the school district.
Call the superintendent of schools. I actually see some brokers now, they put it right on there. They say just call the superintendent
because
of schools.
maybe the lines get changed in the town, but I bought that house based on you telling me what school district my kid was going to be in.
Right.
So, but if I had called the school district myself, they would have said, "Oh, that is the case now, but I guess we're switching over the districts or something."
So you don't want to get in that trouble,
right?
Caught up in that, even though it's not a lie. Although we can end on this one lie that is one of my favorites. This is one of our first years in the closing world. I think you just started with us, so way back then, the broker. I was sitting at the closing table, and the buyer says, "I'm not buying in Reading." No, it's North Reading. And
at that time, there was a huge dichotomy between Reading and North Reading. Not so much anymore, but at the time it was.
What do you mean I'm not buying in Reading? And looked at the broker. You said, "You're buying me. You told me we were buying in Reading." She says, No. I told you were buying on the north side of Reading." Well, that's a different town, is North Reading. So
they even have different
zip code. Oh yeah, it's
different
not
everything.
It's different. Yeah.
It's like it was with the Andovers, North Andover.
Yes, it's different.
It's a totally different town.
Right. It's not like Bradford and Haverhill, but that's it. So what do you think? We got a lot of information out today. So I don't.
Rick, you know what I think?
More thought.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely correct. Honest Abe lost his home twice.
Did you already look that up?
Yeah.
If he had owner's title insurance.
That's right. If he should have called Carter Law Office, because we've been closing loans since then.
When they say that, it was really his dad. Right.
He lived it's still his home, though.
I understand.
I didn't say,
But he wasn't negligent personally.
No, Abe Lincoln didn't say, I should have got
Honest Abe.
Honest Abe. No, but if he had gone to Carter Law Office, if his dad had gone to Carter Law Office, because I think we've been closing since then, we would have told him to get owner's title insurance and would have taken care of that.
Right.
So,
and the one thing I want to leave everybody with is setting expectations.
That's a good one.
Okay. Don't yes people to death and say, yeah, we're going to be able to close Friday.
You got to clear to close. You're ready to close. If
the thing is, like, if you just said, we're hoping to close Friday, but it might spill over into Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of next week, people start thinking about their plan B, C, and D. You know what I mean? But when you get I find that when we're dealing with buyers and borrowers, if you set up an expectation, you are still the good guy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But when you don't set up that expectation, people get upset, and this is when things get
And that's
messy.
true with disclosures. I always say disclose.
Yeah.
And you can always go back off, maybe it wasn't as bad as I said, but it's hard to go back the other way.
Right.
Oh, no, we've never got the water in the basement. And then within weeks of them purchasing, there's water in the basement. That's weird. It's never happened. You've been here for 25 years, and there's 2 inches of water.
So anyway, if you guys have any more questions, certainly call Rick on his cell phone. No. Don't call
My number is 603-494.
Hey.
And if you email me, I'll give you the last 4 numbers of Kathy's phone number, cell phone, and she'll pick up at all times.
I'm exhausted.
Woo, thank you for joining us here on Real Estate House Party. We're never having any more guests or comedians on.
It's just going to be us.
This is going to be us. So thank you, Ed Sullivan. Great job.
You're welcome.
Kathy Holtzhaus is the hardest working person I have ever seen in my life.
No, he's just saying that because he said something mean earlier.
I said I work too, and then you thought that was mean? You're lucky we... Shut us off right now. I got to talk to her.
Bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.